Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Last night, the Polish lower house of parliament, the Sejm, voted in favour of an amendment to the Penal Code which increases the sentences for certain crimes, including, amongst others, extending the maximum jail terms for paedophilia. 263 MPs voted in favour of the amendment, 3 were against and 3 abstained. MPs from the Civic Platform and Modern parties boycotted the vote. 3 MPs from the Now party were against increasing the sentences for paedophiles. Before the vote, there was an incident which was provoked by the Civic Platform MP Sławomir Nitras. From the Sejm, Alexander Zajicka reports.
There was shouting, feet stamping and other inappropriate behavior by opposition MPs, including the incident, or as the opposition calls it, a happening, performed by MP Sławomir Nitras. On his way down from the rostrum, he approached the seat of the chairman of the Law and Justice Party, Jarosław Kaczyński, and threw baby shoes in his direction to represent pedophilia. The baby shoes were tossed back by the MP sitting next to Chairman Kaczyński and then picked up from the floor by Mr. Nitras, who then tried to re-deliver them to Mr. Kaczyński. By then, 2 other MPs blocked his access to the Law and Justice Party chairman. In such an atmosphere, the lower house, the Sejm, voted in favor of the amendment to the Penal Code, which increases penalties for crimes, including, among others, pedophilia. Many MPs were disgusted with the way some other MPs acted, and the common opinion is that this is not good for the reputation of Parliament. Opposition MPs did not take part in the vote by removing their ID cards from the voting machines.
I am announcing that Representative Nitras has violated the solemnity of the Sejm. I repeat, I am announcing that Representative Nitras has violated the solemnity of the Sejm. We introduced the legal obligation to report pedophile crimes. We introduced this. The movie had nothing to do with that. Maybe the opposition changed their mind after the movie. We did introduce changes way before that, for everyone, including the clergy. The way the bill was discussed was scandalous. The rules were not observed. This bill will be challenged in the Constitutional Tribunal. It is possible that the court sentences based on that bill will be rendered invalid just because the Law and Justice was in so much of a hurry. This is another move by the Civic Platform Party which shows their true intentions. They just say to show off that we need changes in the law, but then when it is time to vote they pretend to be absent. We propose to introduce real changes to fight those pedophilia crimes, or laws to have preventive measures, like the Public Pedophile Offender Register. They are not supporting those ideas or are against them. An example was last night, when they tried to block the functioning of the Assembly.
The bill passed with the votes from the Law and Justice Party, the Polish People's Party and the most of the MPs from Kukiz 15 movement. The bill now goes to Senate and next to the President's desk, and 3 months after his signature it enters into force.
Following the release of the Sekielski brothers documentary, Tell No One, which deals with the subject of paedophilia among Polish Catholic priests, some, including from amongst the priesthood, are claiming that the homosexual lobby is making it impossible for the Church to deal with the problem effectively. However, there are many observers who seriously doubt that this is a credible reason, especially in the face of the evidence presented in the documentary.
Chciałam księdzu spojrzeć w oczy, proszę księdza jeszcze. Myślę, że ostatni raz.
According to some priests, the cases of pedophilia among the priesthood are also connected to the homosexual lobby in the Catholic Church.
Nie rozwiążemy problemu pedofilii w Kościele.
It's impossible to solve the problem of pedophilia in the Catholic Church without tackling the issue of the so-called lavender mafia, that is, priests who have homosexual tendencies or are homosexuals. Without the pressure from secular Catholics, and I mean constant pressure, nothing can nor will change. The connection between homosexuality among priests and pedophilia could be supported by reports from episcopates of various countries, Poland being one of them. From the somewhat limited report of the Polish episcopate, we can learn one thing: 58% of children abused by priests were boys. In accordance with the guidelines of Pope Benedict XVI from 2005, people who show homosexual tendencies should never be accepted into seminaries in the first place. Pope Benedict's guidelines about not accepting people who show homosexual tendencies into seminaries were also supported by Pope Francis. If someone shows such tendencies, then allowing him to live in a mainly male, closed environment is dangerous for the priest himself. pedophile tendencies among priests aren't a recent phenomenon. During the communist era, the security service would often recruit such priests as secret collaborators. If the church actually conducted a thorough inspection in the 90s or even 10 years ago among its ranks to find people who were homosexuals and who through that became secret collaborators, then some of the priests wouldn't even be included in the documentary, as they would have been dealt with before. Among the pedophile priests shown in the Sekielski's film, 3 of them were once secret collaborators for the communist security service. However, this information was not shown in the film.
The Internal Security Agency announced that a man who was allegedly planning a terrorist attack had been detained and charged. The attack was said to be in revenge against the opponents of Islam.
The man detained by the Internal Security Agency, Mikołaj B., heard charges related to the preparation of a terrorist attack in Poland. The materials gathered by the Internal Security Agency say that Mikołaj B. declared his intention to carry out a terrorist attack in a public place. The attempt was to be a revenge against the opponents of the Islamic religion.
Is the choice between Franz Timmermans and Manfred Weber a choice between the proverbial devil and the deep blue sea? One of these 2 politicians will most likely be the new president of the European Commission. On what this may mean for Poland, here's Ursula Rogala.
The Prime Minister of Europe, as the President of the European Commission is sometimes called, will be elected after the vote for the European Parliament. Candidates chosen by the European political parties presented their visions of Europe yesterday. Much has been said about climate change, the rule of law, migration, equal opportunities in Europe, and the taxation of the internet giants.
This chamber, the European Parliament, is a place where the future of Europe must be decided. We need a democratic Europe for the future. And the second point I want to mention, we need a mechanism to defend our values. They are challenged in the European Union. And that's why I'm binding independent rule of law mechanism for the future, where we can also use the funds, the money of Europe, to sanction those who are not ready to respect our fundamental principles. That is what I fight for.
Timmermans stressed that despite the very sharp 3-year conflict between the European Commission and the Polish authorities regarding the rule of law, support for the European Union in Poland is higher than 3 years ago, because, in his opinion, Poles want to be a part of this community of values.
On this idea of creating European unity to solve the problems that are facing us in the future.
From among the 8 politicians proposed for this function by the largest groupings in the European Parliament, from the very beginning in pole position were Manfred Weber from the European People's Party and Franz Timmermans from the Party of European Socialists, current first Vice President of the European Commission. Both candidates have been touring other EU countries for many weeks, talking to people about their vision for the community and the programme for the Union. Mr. Weber from the European People's Party, who is a conservative and is a member of the German CSU party, or Conservative Farmers, is better for Poland than Mr. Timmermans, who is already saying that he wants to create a coalition with the forces of Mr. Macron and with the Grek-Cypriot forces, and who is quite an extreme politician. And considering the activities of Mr. Timmermans in recent months, I am hoping that the EP will choose Weber. The European Council will, taking into account the results of the European Parliament elections and after consultations, present to the Parliament the candidate who will receive a majority of votes. At the moment, it is not known whether the Spitzenkandidaten will be the main competitors for the position currently occupied by Jean-Claude Juncker, or as Emmanuel Macron, among others, advocates the candidate will be selected at the European Union summit and then be presented to the MEPs.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Do stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Rainfall is expected in central and eastern Poland. Fog will sweep in around Szczecin. The temperature will range from 9 to 13 degrees in Białystok, Olsztyn and Warszawa. And now over to tomorrow. Sunny weather on the south, but on the north thunderstorms will appear. Stormy weather we will see around Lublin and Rzeszów as well. A maximum 26 degrees in Warszawa and a minimum 21 in Koszalin. The warm weather will continue in the following 3 days. Sunday will be quite rainy, especially on the east. Temperature will range from 24 to 26 degrees. On Monday, the sun will be shining on the northeast and on the southwest, while the rest of country will get alternating rain and thunderstorms. The temperature will rise to 27 degrees. Tuesday will be more rainy, with temperatures ranging from 20 to 24 degrees. Thunderstorms are expected across the country. Thank you for watching and see you soon.
You're watching Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Piotr Palutkiewicz of Agenda Poland. Sir, welcome to the show.
Hello.
And we will be talking about the upcoming election this year. In May 26, election to European Parliament, and subsequently 4 months later, October probably, the general election, which will set the political spectrum for another 4 years. And so every single issue is very hotly debated right now. And one of the most hotly debated issues is the social spending of the Law and Justice government. Some say this is unjustified giveaway of money. What do you say about that?
I can agree with those economists and those experts who criticizes those social expenditure in the election year. Unfortunately, I think there are, first of all, in 2018, when the budget for this year was closing, it was expected that the deficit will be 27 billions of zlotys. And in this spring, we figure out that there will be another 40 billions of zlotys of additional deficit due to those social expenditures. This is unjustified, and what's the most concerning is that unfortunately we are in the year with economic growth. The question is what will happen when the economic slowdown appear this year. The deficit probably may be more than 3% of GDP, which is most concerning.
Well, that 3% of GDP is pretty much standard for the European Union. And those concerns were being expressed in 2015 regarding the first 500-plus program that cost about 20 billion Polish zlotys. And we got the same concerns, which were a shred because the economy is going really strong.
Yeah, we've got very good economic indexes like GDP growth, more than 4%. And when I would be happy if that growth will remain the same in this year and the next year, and probably then the budget will cope with those deficit. However, the bad thing is that in those social expenditures is that they all were promised in the election year. So the next and the other parties will have to compete with with Law and Justice government only on the matter of social expenditure. So it's like the inflation of promises to the people, which may let the people and our country to expect more and more promises in the elections, and we should expect rather reasonable promises from the politicians.
Right. On the other hand, the current government said that it grew its income by a third due to the fiscalism or fiscal expansion, due to fighting the VAT frauds. Just an example, the 2015, the budget was about 280 billion Polish zlotys. Right now it's about 380, almost 400. So there is significantly more money to invest in social strata. And this is how they describe these expenditures, that we are not giving the money away. We are investing in schools, in children, in demography, which is failing in Poland since the 1990s.
Yeah, investing in schools, in high schools, in universities, in the medical care, that would be good to put all those additional money from the economic growth into some reasonable area of the economy. However, those the Kaczynski's those five promises, electional promises, are not solving any economy problem. They are not changing the system. They are just pointing the single social strata, the single problems, and they are just happen once. For example, the 13th pension for the retirement people. This is the only once. This will not go and happen in the next years.
Speeds up the development pace. Like, you have more money on the market, you have eventually more consumer spending. Some of this returns to the state budget as a VAT, but first of all, it gives jobs in the local rural area when those jobs were not available before.
Partly you are right. According to the data, it's 16% of those expenditures will come back to the budget from the taxes like VAT, and that school, which is in economy called Keynesianism, it's being criticized in the recent years, especially by the monetarist economists. So there is a discussion about those stimulation of GDP due to on the ground of fiscal expenditures. So we can debate that actually for a few hours or make the panel for a week, and in the end, I'm afraid that we will not get the straight
answer. Hold our position afterwards. It's very, 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 very likely to be that case. Another thing is. The Poland as a country has very low unemployment. We are supposed to, and the salaries are not growing according to the influx of the foreign capital to Poland and the jobs available, because we are importing the workers from outside. And this is also connected to this social expenditure, because people are not choosing the low-paid jobs anymore. They don't consider it attractive if they can have money from elsewhere.
Yeah, there is a lack of employees on our market. The companies are looking for some new staff, but they can't find it. The immigration is the new area from where we get immigrants from India, from the Far East, and there is a lack of. That may be the one of the most important issues in our economy. You know, we can't increase productivity in the economy when we don't have staff. The production won't be increasing and will not be increasing, and this is what the majority of economists are afraid now. And another issue is what you said, is that we've got still too low salaries comparing to, for example, Germany and France or UK, and I think that will be and should be the issue of these elections and the another elections, and we should focus on how to make those salaries increase in the upcoming years.
My bet is that this election will be about cutting the government expenditures on the government and simplifying the bureaucratic structure and this kind of things, but we will see.
And for now we see that actually the campaign is not focusing on the economic issues, but also social things, or just...
Which is also understandable, because it's easy to sell to the people those things. And this is a watershed moment, because Poland didn't have or had very limited social spending until today. And right now we are maybe not on the level of the Western Europe, but close. And again, this is typical for Western Europe, that families are being financed by state.
But that would be good if we have the same level of development as the foreign Western economies. That I would be happy that we've got the big growth, we've got a big economy, so we can afford to finance the social programs.
Okay, thank you very much. Piotr Palutkiewicz of Agenda Poland was our guest tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that was it for Poland Daily Business.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Sunny weather on the south, but on the north thunderstorms will appear. Stormy weather we will see around Lublin and Rzeszów as well. A maximum 26 degrees in Warszawa and a minimum 21 in Koszalin. Let's see the forecast for our continent. On the Iberian Peninsula, temperature will fall to 19 degrees in Lisbon and 20 in Madrid. In Central Europe, we are expecting more rainfall and thunderstorms. Still warm in the Balkans. There, the temperature range from 25 to 27 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Daniel likes big challenges, even those that overwhelm him. When he decided to ride a bike from Sydney to Szczecin, he had no idea how much time, money, and sacrifices this idea would cost him. And it cost him a lot. He miscalculated almost every aspect. Although he collected material for more than one book, so far he finished only the first one. This is a unique story about the implementation of a monstrous dream, about fear and courage, about lost love, about brotherhood and adventures in hard-to-reach corners that divide Sydney from Daniel's native city of Szczecin. As he put it, this is the work of his life. He is currently looking for a publisher who will help him share his story with as many readers as possible.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm John Carter. And on today's episode, we're joined by traveller, adventurer, cyclist Daniel Kotoy. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, Daniel, we'll start off by introducing the fact that you have been riding a bicycle from Sydney, Australia to Szczecin, Poland.
That's right.
What was it that you literally had with you? So you had this bicycle, you constructed it yourself.
Yep.
And what else did you have with you?
So most of the things that I have with me, almost all of the things, is equipment that I need, which is my tent, cooking gear. I cook a lot myself. Sleeping bag and a lot of clothes for different temperatures. I cycle in the winter as well as the summer. But one thing that is not part of the equipment and is for my soul is the little ukulele. I wanted to throw out the thing so many times because I didn't have enough food with me, for example, in the Australian outback. But hey, I had the ukulele to play on. But I thought, no, I have to keep it because that's the only thing I have for my soul.
So, you've been going now, you've been travelling for somewhere around 4 years.
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
You still got the ukulele?
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Yep. It has some, I had to stitch it up, glue it, and
sure.
But it's with me. It's with me.
I'm amazed it didn't sort of somehow get damaged or completely broken along the way.
Well, I'm trying to take good care of it, and it actually helped me so much during this journey to make me feel better. For example, deep in Laos, somewhere where not many white people have been, or maybe none, there is a village with and children have a school, go to school, and I just show up and the teacher let me interact with the children, and I take out a ukulele and play for them, and that's beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Very nice. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. You got to have some kind of balance to it, haven't you? Okay. So You started this journey as the book suggests. You did this in partnership with a friend at first, but for the majority of this journey, you've been on your own.
That's right.
And have you kind of suffered from loneliness, or how's it been spending so much time by yourself?
In general, I don't regret traveling alone. Traveling alone opens a lot of possibilities because the locals, if you're in a group, even in a very small group, the locals see you and they think, they're gonna be all right. They're in a group. But if you're alone, then they're more keen to interact with you and to help you, right?
Right.
When it comes to loneliness, people ask me often about it. How about, being in a desert or in a savannah or in a jungle alone? Are you lonely? I'm not lonely in such places. I'm really lonely when I get to a big city and I'm surrounded by thousands of people but have no one to talk to.
Yeah, right.
Do you know that feeling?
Maybe you don't notice it so much when you're part of the big city. It's like you notice it a bit more when you're outside and then you reflect back on it, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know what you mean, yeah. Okay, so, and what is it that do you have some kind of method, perhaps, to sort of keep yourself company? Bit of talking to yourself or something? Or?
I think I started talking to myself way more than I would like to. And it's not really like deep conversations or anything.
Sure.
So,
what kind of things do you tell yourself, Daniel? Do you have a little mirror with you? Looking good this morning.
I usually call myself bad names if I do something bad, and then I call myself some more for doing that.
So you're beating yourself up?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. There's no positive feedback to yourself, or?
There is a lot, of course. Normally I feel good with myself, and that's why I do that. Also, listening to books and reading helps a lot. Yeah.
All right. Well, perhaps kind of tying in with the loneliness aspect, is there any kind of element of fear, or was the fear more beforehand in the thought of doing it all, rather than actually being there in the moment?
Of course, before the journey started, there was a big question mark, right? Because there were so many unknown. But as you start doing it, you learn exactly about how much time things take, for example, how many kilometers can you cycle in a week, and planning thus becomes easier. So part of the fear of the unknown goes away. What remains is just the fear of not being able to accomplish a dream. Because, as I said, it's a huge huge distance to complete, and actually I haven't finished yet.
No. Well, how far through the journey would you say you are then? Because I guess it's kind of difficult to say exactly how far you are. Maybe we should sort of say this, to which you're visiting Poland at the moment.
Yeah.
But, and obviously you started in Sydney, but where have you sort of stopped and taken a break out and intend to go back to and carry on from?
So far I cycle Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Myanmar, India, Nepal, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and Japan. Did I say Vietnam?
Vietnam.
So I left my bicycle in Vietnam to come to visit my family because I haven't seen them in 3 years. So as you look at all these countries, and if you look at my website, it's not exactly as I'm going straight to Szczecin, but rather try to see as much as possible. I guess the road became the purpose in itself, and the more remote the location, the better. For example, I go up the roads, the dead ends that lead me to nowhere, just to see what's there, and because I know that I can find a good story there.
Sure. So I guess it's difficult to say which point you're at because you don't really know what you might decide, whether you're going to take the quick route or the long path later.
I think I could say I'm halfway through.
So thank you very much for joining us on
Thank
Poland
you.
Daily Culture.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So we'll be back same time tomorrow on Poland Daily Culture. I'm John Carter. See you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and today we are here at the Łazienki Royal Park, a special place in the center of Warsaw, the heart of the city. It has many historical events that transpire throughout Polish history, a lot of historical buildings and wonderful places to behold. Thankfully, the place survived the war and was able to provide a place for generations to admire. Together with our guest, we will see all these beautiful places such as the Royal Theatre, the palace on top of the water, and even more. Join us in Poland Daily History, and we will take you on an adventure. We are now at the part of the park where it's most significant in the 18th century. So I was wondering if you can tell me what things happened that transpired at the time and what are the evolutions of this place.
We are now nearby the Palace on the Isle. During the Lubomirski time, it was here was built the bath pavilion. Here is at the beginning. Originally, it was the bath pavilion here. Later, after the death of the Prince Stanisław, these lands inherited his son Theodore.
Theodore.
Yeah, and he decided to lease these terrains to the next king of Poland, Augustus II of Saxony. And Augustus II, he used especially the castle, and also the pavilion of Bath, and he built on the other side of the Łazienki Park, he built a huge water channel called Piaseczyński Channel. After that, inherited this place, next king and Augustus III of Saxony, but still the owners were the Lubomirski family. So kings, they had only a leasing of this park. The park was leased here on to the second half of the 18th century. And after that, one of the members of Polish noble families, Stanisław Antoni Poniatowski, he knew that he will be elected as the new king of Poland, and he was looking for another summer residence nearby the Warsaw.
Sure.
And he decided to bought from the Lubomirski family the entire complex with the castle, the gardens and park, and also with the complex of the buildings.
This entire place.
Yes, so he became the next owner of this place.
Right. And who would you say is responsible for the building, the constructing of this magnificent palace over here?
Like I said, at the beginning it was a small pavilion which was used as a bath.
So it was being built upon by
yes,
different...
Yes, exactly. So at the beginning it was a Baroque building, but later, since the 1777, King decided to overbuild the Baroque building, the building of Bath. And in the few periods, he changed the small Bath pavilion into the today's neoclassical palace on the Isle.
Wow.
But he didn't change everything. He decided to left a few rooms in original condition since the end of 17th century, and still we can see them even today.
Even till today. So it
Till
would be
today,
like pieces of the fragments of different histories pieced together.
Yes, it's
I
joined.
guess that's why it's such an historical monument in Warsaw.
We are sometimes saying that the King Stanisław, he was uniting the Baroque style and neoclassical. And sometimes we are saying about the Stanislavian style in the architecture. King, at the end of his reign, decided to live in the palace, of course, in every summer time, because the Łazienki changed to his summer residence. And also he decided to remove the deep forest from here and they built a park into the English style.
Right.
So he brought here a new trees and he decided to put them like it was popular in the Western Europe.
Right, right. So this whole different style was
And
his
he
contribution.
removed also the zoo because during the
There was
it
a
was
zoo.
open sky zoo, open zoo beneath the sky,
Sure.
and only the borders of the park were closed by the wooden trenches. It was stopping the animals from the running away from the park. So even in the time of Lubomirski, not only in the time of the Dukes of Mazovia, but even in the second half of 17th century, so 400 years later, still the people could hunt here on these places, on these grounds. But what is also very interesting that we have information since the 16th century that in some places were built some kind of gazebos, which people could enter, and from the height they could observe the wild animals here. And these wide grounds, we can say that changed during the reign of the Stanisław August, from the deep wide forest into the organized English-style garden.
So you were telling me that the king has spent time here every year, and I was hoping you can tell me a little bit about what transpired in this place and what are the more interesting things that happened about King Stanisław. You know, what buildings were built and what parties he had, what kind of special events happened in this particular place.
What is interesting, at the beginning, King wanted to overbuild the Ujazdowski Castle. But after 1772, after the first partition of Poland, he changed his mind.
All right.
We don't know for sure why he did it.
Okay.
Probably it was the fashion has changed, and he decided to focus on the garden itself.
The garden.
Yeah, the garden.
Sure.
And he decided here build a complex of the buildings in the modern way, of that time. At the beginning, he had already the Baroque bath house, but later he decided to build a summer villa in Italianate style.
All right.
He had, of course, the Italianate architects which designed this place for him. So he had from the one side the white pavilion. In the center, he had the bath, and from the other side, he decided to build another summer villa, but this one was made of brick.
Sure.
Myślewicki Palace, called today. King was coming here every summer, at least since the 1777. He was coming here on the 8th of May.
8th of May.
It was the St. Patron's Day of St. Stanislaus. And later he was spending here time until to the September.
Sure.
So the entire court and the old nobles are coming here.
Right.
For example, the ambassadors of other countries, especially the ambassador of Russia and Prussia, King was organizing here a lot of events.
All right.
For example, very important event was in 1788. It was 105th anniversary of the great Battle of Vienna, when the Polish troops under the command of John III stopped the Turkish Ottoman army under the Vienna. So we can say that we have stopped the Ottomans in Austria. And King decided to celebrate this day, so he decided to show the monument of John III, which is still standing, its original monument since the 1788.
Right.
Also, he gave here the chivalric tournament here on this royal promenade. Yes, exactly, with the wooden benches for the spectacles. And at the end, he went to the Royal Theatre, and there inside was a great art, a great play about the John III and his battle. It was a ballet, the chivalric ballet, and also the cantata was, as a tribute to the King John III, was sang.
Łazienki Park, Łazienki Park Królewskie. Those names mean something to everyone in Poland. This green expanse is inseparable from the history not only of Warsaw, but of the country. It is here that leisure time is spent by families, friends, lovers, students, and sportsmen. It's a park for everyone, but it didn't start out that way. It started out as the very special province of the Lubomirski family. Later, King Poniatowski made the park his own, and it was really during the late 18th century that the greater proportion of buildings were constructed. There is the Palace on the Water, of course, a classic building of its kind, not only in Poland, but in Europe. The palace seems to float on an island in its reflecting pools. Meanwhile, the 70-odd park is a conglomeration of forest and lake and sculpted gardens, dominated on one end by the ancient Ujazdowski Castle and on the other by the Belvedere Palace, the residence of the president. The park remains the greenest spot in any city in Poland, and as a park comparable to the best of those in any capital in Europe. So sit back as Poland Daily Travel takes you for a tour of the highlights of Łazienki Park in the heart of beautiful downtown Warsaw. Poland Daily Travel brings you the best and most comprehensive programming about travel in Poland that you're ever likely to find. Watch Poland Daily Travel and like us on YouTube, and if you really like us, subscribe. So let's watch A Walk in the Park with Poland Daily Travel in Łazienki Królewskie in beautiful downtown Warsaw.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Poland Daily. I'm here with Peter, and we are standing in front of a very famous statue of a very famous man. A man whose name is inseparable with the name of Poland, and that would be
Frederick Chopin.
Yeah, and it looks just like him, doesn't it?
Quite much, yeah, quite alike.
Actually, what is this tree? It's a tree.
Yeah. A lot of people would say that it's looking like a head of a dinosaur that's trying to bite him.
A pterodactyl.
Exactly, something flying with its open beak. What originally the author wanted to show you is the weeping willow tree that is very strongly affected by the wind blows. This is why it's not presented in a classy way with the branches going down, but as you can see, deeply, very strongly being affected by these wind blows. The thing is that if I have a sack of gold and I have prepared it for you as my sculptor, then you would be having an urge that you would, I could say, have an idea to present a pianist standing next to a golden piano or something like this. In here, Frédéric Chopin has this very characteristic gesture with his right hand that's indicating that he is a pianist. You can see that from the very first moment. But he's sitting under the weeping willow, not is he having the piano next to him.
Is there some symbolism? Okay.
Because Frédéric Chopin is born, even though the surname suggests France, then Frédéric is born in Poland, around 60 kilometers away from Warsaw. And what's underlined here...
What's the name of the place?
Żelazowa Wola.
Which is also a famous place to go and see, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll go there. Yeah. Okay.
A pleasure of mine it will be to show you around.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The thing is that if it comes to underlining his, let's say, one particular feature, it's that he's Polish. Weeping willow is a very common tree for the landscape of this region. And it is. You will see
by the water.
But next to the water, if we would go to Żelazowa Wola, the birthplace of Frédéric, there are plenty all around the place. But this is one thing. The second thing is that this Chopin's surname. Right, this is very, very important for everyone. I mean, you will, I assume that you know it, but for the audience, for everyone else, Chopin is a 100% French surname.
Well, I figured it was.
And I'm not going to try to convince anyone else that is otherwise.
It's not Chopinsky.
Exactly.
Or Chopinovich.
Exactly, which that would be pretty much the Polish conversion of that surname. Chopin's...
Like Wilski.
Or Richardsky. Rather, Will Richardsky, that's what would be you in Polish version. The thing is that Chopin is coming from his father's time, right? Nicolas Chopin is the gentleman that eventually came to Poland and set his family that Frédéric was the member of.
Right, okay.
One thing for the end, if I may. This whole place, the gentleman of ours will help us out in terms of presenting everything, is prepared to commemorate Frédéric in the very best way that is possible, to play his music to the people. So,
because they have concerts here. It's starting soon, isn't it?
It's usually the first warmer days. I should say second half of May, starting, ending the second half of September. It's a weekly event.
So it's just really a summer thing.
It is a summer thing.
Sunday afternoon.
I mean, let me share one insight. If you are a pianist, then stiffness of your fingers in winter may become a serious problem in terms
outside here.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's only when it's really warm, and it's Sunday afternoon.
Noon and 4 p.m. 2 concert sessions.
Right here.
Each lasting 40 minutes right here in this spot.
And the piano is here next to the statue.
Absolutely.
Usually.
You have two platforms, one to the left, one to the right. The one on the left contains speakers. The one on the right will be the place where the piano is brought.
And the place gets filled up, doesn't it? I mean, it's hard to get a bench, isn't it?
If you would think that you'll come 3:45 or 3:45 and you'll have a place to fit in, you couldn't have been more wrong.
I've been here when it's totally standing room, and the whole place is absolutely packed out.
Speaking
all of the grass and everywhere.
Very directly, people do take an advantage of this. If it's beautiful weather, they even come in here to take a nap. If they are not, let's say, very much interested in the music, right? Because it's a family event. It's very popular. Everyone's is respecting it.
Super. Okay, so the Chopin concerts are right here, right in this space, every Sunday afternoon from towards the end of May to the middle of September, and at noon and 4 p.m. And the admission is...
Everyone's invited, commemorating the greatest pianist in Poland.
It costs nothing, except getting here.
And will to come.
Okay, stay with us. Poland Daily, we're going on. So here we are back again, and I promised you two famous people. We've just had Frédéric Chopin The other man is absolutely inescapable. Frédéric Chopin of the 19th century. This gentleman, and gentlemen, I mean, this tour de force, gentleman is not enough to describe this man, is the towering figure in Poland of the early 20th century, certainly the pre-World War II period and the interwar period. And his name is?
Józef Piłsudski, the Marshal.
Give us your 2 cents.
And before we'll speak about him, there is a very, very important piece of knowledge that is supposed to be introduced for the start. Poland is having a very, very busy history.
Right.
And we need to bring the piece of that history starting with 1795, because this is a very, very grim moment that Poland is not on the map anymore for 123 years. And then, if we...
To the end of World War I, 1918.
Exactly. So my next words were about to be that it's 123 plus 1795, 1918 is the date. The end of the First World War, as you said, and the moment that Poland is moved a bit to the west and brought back to the map. The case is that it would not be possible if it's not for the efforts of Marshal Józef Piłsudski.
Right.
Let's say that you are a director of sales and you want to bring a sales team together. It lasts sometimes even up to 2 years. Then let's say that you have a government together after over a century of not existing, of having the Polish guys, Polish brainy guys, living abroad. You need to get them back, working together, and then to create Polish lands and Polish administration once again. Tough mission, but put into realization with a very firm hand. That's something to be underlined. The thing is that once you're looking at Mr. Marshal, then you see that he has this thick mustache and very serious look in the eye.
Yeah.
The truth is that this
That's his normal portrayal. Yeah.
This is his normal steady face, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that very, very often people link him with Joseph Stalin because of that similar appearance.
Yeah.
The thing is that we should...
That's just the look of that time now. Yeah.
You may say so. The thing is that these two guys are completely different. They are
They came at the Soviet Revolution from two different ways.
Yeah.
One of them was leading it, Stalin,
and the second one was
preventing it. Battle of Warsaw, the 1920-21 war.
Absolutely.
Where they actually came up against each other because Stalin was one of the lieutenants.
Yes.
In that battle, he was with Budyonny and the cavalry. Wasn't
I confirm everything. That you say. We call it as the Vistula miracle. 1920 is the time that the Bolsheviks are coming to Europe. There is a theory that if Polish people would not have stopped it, then the Soviet Union, as we know it, would end up in Portugal.
Well, they would have gone straight to the English Channel, etc.
Yeah.
And swept over the whole continent.
And then who knows?
There was nothing in Germany. Weimar was in tatters.
Yeah.
Germany was in tatters after the war. The Weimar Republic had come in. They had hyperinflation. The country was destitute.
They would take over.
Yeah, and they had no resistance. It's odd to think the difference between 1918 and 1939, because in 1939, of course, the Luftwaffe and the Wehrmacht were these supposedly unstoppable forces.
They were
totally different in 1920. Yeah. 21, the Polish army was the army which was virile and able to put a stop to these literally hordes of invaders from the east. That time immemorial game of invasion by hordes from the east, which had happened with the Tatars, and this was like almost recalling those times.
I would say that there is a long, long time ago, Poland used to be called as the Wall of Christianity.
Right.
And in this way, not protecting Christianity anymore, but protecting the political order that has been achieved. We are once again blocking the forces coming to Europe and keeping them out.
Well, there you are, Poland Daily. We're here at the statue of Józef Piłsudski. Józef Piłsudski.
Well, I'm giving you a great amount of points for trying to speak Polish. I respect you.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Thanks a lot. At any rate, folks, thanks for watching. This is Poland Daily. We're at Łazienki Park, and that's it for now. Stay tuned. Like us on YouTube and subscribe You know, each one of these series of episodes is like one long documentary film. So if you come in the beginning of the episode about Łazienki Park, there's 7 episodes. So it's like one long documentary. In this case, a walk through the park with my friend Peter. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll look for you the next time. Hip. See you around. Come on.
See you, of course.